Welcome back to Tokyo on Fire. Today is February 14th, 2017. The Diet has been in session for almost a month now. One of the main things that they are discussing and supposed to pass is the 2017 budget. Plus, if they can get away with it, to whack-a-mole as many ministers that are sitting as possible. Michael, you're watching this too.
Yeah.
Whack-a-mole or snooze fest?
Well, it's one of the two. It depends on whether you're in the opposition or you're in the coalition, the LDP and the Komeito. And the LDP and the Komeito want to pass this budget in as smooth a way as possible, but they're having trouble getting the subject matter, getting control of the agenda in the budget committee.
Three ministers in particular are eating up a lot of time defending their positions. The defense minister, the minister of justice, and the education minister, they're taking a lot of heat. But we have to pass the budget in the meantime too.
And that's what... That's the arena of Japanese politics, is the budget committee. And so we have these time-wasting efforts on the part of the opposition to get in the way of the budget.
Right.
And certainly it's working out great for them. They're not obviously going to be able to, on the basis of votes, get rid of any of these ministers. They can't pass a motion of no confidence in the House of Representatives. But wow, it's been quite a show.
So how much time can they eat up on beating up any one minister so that the time runs out? And once again, there's a set period of time, so the amount of time that they could potentially be talking about the budget is actually collapsed.
That's right. And the thing is that it's really up to the chairman, and the chairman has to have a really strong sense of, first of all, how much time is left. But it's not his responsibility. The chairman is supposed to be nonpartisan, is supposed to be above it all.
And you can see he's giving them a little bit of rope. Would you please answer the question? You haven't responded appropriately.
Yeah, he says that to government officials. You are not answering the question responsibly. That, and that perhaps is something that's kind of hard to understand in more partisan countries, that the committee chairman or the Speaker of the House of Representatives or in the House of Councilors, they really, despite their being elected as members of a particular party, they really step back away from that. And frequently, especially the Budget Committee chair, gets in incredible hot water with the LDP secretariat. And it's usually you are really actually being told behind the scenes in private time, hey, don't give them that much free time. Don't give them that much leeway.
Yeah, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, but at the same time, there is throughout the government, and Mr. Abe, even though he's the president of the LDP, as the Prime Minister, he participates in this grander scheme of let's keep the appearances and the customs of democracy going.
Yes, it surprises me that sometimes he shows up and sits in the chamber while this is all going on. I mean, he's a very busy person.
He's a very busy person, and there have been questions that he has put personally for his administration and in the draft LDP constitutional draft that the Prime Minister and major ministers can just bug out when the opposition is ganging up on one particular ministry. In this case, this last week, it's been education. And the folks that have been engaging in clear violations of the law in terms of Amakudari, descent from heaven practices in rehiring of ex-bureaucrats.
And they actually admit, yes, this was an organized operation that we were running so that we could parcel these choice positions out.
Yeah, and of course, for every moment that's spent in that question time, the budget and the greater economic package just sits there. And the thing is, it should be discussed. And perhaps people will say, God, budgets are boring. But they're not necessarily boring, especially when you're trying to figure out, okay, where does Abenomics go next?
This is the cornerstone of his administration. So it should be the torch to which he's leading the crowd, but it's not a very bright torch, is it?
It's not. It's a very dim bulb, to be quite frank. If you look at the government's initiatives as listed in the budget highlights, and you can pick that up from the finance ministry, it's a single slide that's in PowerPoint, and the font for the first time is legible. It's blown way up, because there's so little content. A few extra daycare centers, great, fine. That'll help a few thousand women workers. Okay, you'll get more output from them maybe. charging more to seniors in certain aspects, okay, yeah, that will help the budget balance. But there's nothing in the package that would really grab your attention and say they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Right. Maybe this is a kind of a shell game where they're saying there's nothing to look at here while we're printing out this money.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, they had a great story, okay? The economy is going to grow fast. That's going to take care of debt. And in the first few years, sure, it looked like they were barreling towards primary balance to get down to at least where the main expenditures, which include Social Security, let's take out debt financing. That's a quarter of the budget. Boom, let's take that out. But if we look at the primary spending, that we could get that into balance by the year 2020. Mm-hmm. That looks way out of the question now. And this year's budget doesn't even pretend to get anywhere near it. And their assumptions for growth are way out of whack. We just got the new GDP figures. They may go up, but they said, okay, it was 1% growth annualized. Mm-hmm. The main budget assumes 1.5% to get the balance that it has in it. So they're not even going to get there, most likely, even with revisions. So you're looking at, okay, so what's the investment story?
So where is it?
You know, the only thing that seems is we're not Trump.
Right.
That's the only thing that the government of Japan is saying. There's no geopolitical risk. There's no chance that a new government might come in and change all the rules. It's a safe haven story.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, North Korea just fired another long to medium term range missile.
Solid fueled, all those good things. Yeah,
right.
It looks like it could easily be fired from a submarine.
Okay,
yeah, that's a threat. Okay.
TPP is in the toilet, so the Japanese were really holding a lot out for TPP because they thought maybe this will boost the economy, maybe 1 or maybe 2%.
Yeah, but they haven't. To the government's credit, I guess, they haven't given up on changing Donald Trump's mind about this major campaign promise that he made on the basis of he wants to have lower tariffs. He wants to have a clearer trade, a fairer trade with fewer possibilities of currency manipulation. And the Japanese and all the other 11 Pacific nations say, you know, we've got a file on this that we've been working on for 5 years. You want to see it? Mm-hmm. And shove it back in at the United States. But that seems that's really taking a chance.
Well, I think that explains one of the reasons for the eagerness of the Prime Minister to go meet with Trump as soon as he possibly could. He is the first head of state to actually spend time, really good constructive time with President Trump, and it looks
during diet session too.
Right.
And at times when he's being asked to answer a lot of questions, that he just flies off. And so it's a huge commitment. And TPP is a huge part of that, to be sure. There's security aspects, and we can discuss those in maybe some other segment, I guess. Right. But in terms of an outlook for Japan, the outlook is dull as dishwater. I hate to say it. And I think that was part of what was pushing Kishida, Foreign Minister Kishida, and his faction to start exploring on the outlines, maybe there's an opening here. Maybe the Abenomics decline story is good for us.
Right.
But
was that a trial balloon? We talked about it last session.
It looks very much like a trial balloon.
We haven't heard much about it since then.
We haven't, and especially it looks like a lot of air went out of it in the last 2 days. We got NHK's most recent polling figures. We've gotten some other of the major. All of the major news agencies have put out their polls, and the Abe administration is soaring. It went up in all the polls that I've seen. The cabinet popularity ratings went up, so that he's, if not at 60%, very close to it, 58% with NHK. That's untouchable. And I think that trial balloon we saw in December when the Kochikai talked about getting back together into becoming a mega faction. We may not see so much of that as we thought might be possible even 2 weeks ago.
Right. Well, the numbers really weren't looking that great in a combined force in any event, but there's always preparation for the future because you never know.
That's right. And it worked in with the time frame. As it is, we are going to somehow get a budget passed. They have the majority in both houses. There's nothing that can mess up the system. Anyway, a House of Reps vote is all that's necessary for a budget.
And people aren't up in arms. They are not saying, Abenomics is a failure, it's not working. At least the economy is going. The debt to GDP ratio is climbing, but it's not alarmingly.
Yeah, and they're saying that we're making progress. And yes, there is progress, but the progress has been slowing and slowing. And at some point, it's going to be zero.
Right.
And when we start to see decay, it may be too late for anyone who wants to challenge Abe's attempt to get a third term with the LDP. But
that's not going to happen within the next 6 or 8 months, though.
Well, we'll see, because people are very sensitive about the economy, especially with the uncertainty created by the Trump administration. And they'd like to have certain things that they can rely on. And currently, we know from polling, other polling that has gone on, that the primary reason that people put their confidence in the Abe administration is a lack of alternatives, a lack of visible alternatives. We can't see another appropriate person. If another appropriate group, or a group claiming to be appropriate, puts up a good front, we could get interesting.
Sure. We don't have enough time on Tokyo on Fire each week because we've only uploaded about an hour worth of content. We haven't talked about Koike's victory in Chiyoda-ku 2 weeks ago that really portends great things for Tokyo first.
And there are other aspects that we'll have to deal with, maybe not this week, but some in weeks ahead. At the present time, however, the story is the Budget Committee that's not considering the budget.
Right. Okay. Please stay tuned. A lot of balls are in the air. Understanding what the budget portends is something we'll continue to watch. Stay tuned.